We're watching Press TV's news review, where we look deeper into some of the top stories of the day. In this segment, Britons are feeling the pinch of the cost of living crisis as food price inflation soars to a record high. According to a survey by Cantor research firm, prices of essential food items went up over 17% in the 4 weeks leading to February the 19th. That's the highest price hike recorded by Cantor since 2008. The survey also shows that grocery price inflation is the second biggest financial issue for Britons after the swelling energy costs. Surging prices have prompted strikes across the country over recent months. 33,000 more civil servants, including tax office workers, will join thousands going on strike in mid-March. They demand higher pay in pace with the inflation rate. The government has blamed the war in Ukraine and the COVID pandemic as the main culprits in the UK's economic downturn. Well, joining us on this edition of the News Review, we have our very own Amina Taylor, who's joining us from the British capital, London. Also from London, we have former economic advisor to London, Mayor Ken Livingstone, Mr. John Ross, who's with us from the British capital. And also, I believe we have former member of British Parliament to Lembit Opik joining us from London as well. However, let's start off with Amina. Amina, talk to us about these numbers, record-breaking numbers of inflation.
Badia, just to put this into context for yourself and some of the viewers here, this would have been the most steep increase since 2008, which you mentioned in that program. But just to put that in additional context, that was at the height of the last economic crash of 2007 into 2008. So we have members of the public here who, for the first time in a very long time, would be looking in their purses and wondering just how they were going to make ends meet. And you talked there a little bit earlier about some of the industrial action that's come as a result of this and obviously other working conditions. But we're looking very closely here, Badia, at a situation where even anecdotally, when you come to reporting from food banks and in front of supermarkets and so on, people are wondering just how they are going to put food on the table, how they're going to make some of those tough decisions about what needs to happen in their household in terms of paying certain bills or actually feeding themselves or their children. Now, we're also looking at a situation where, for the first time since October last year, some of those energy subsidies the government would have paid into the purses of householders like myself will be coming to an end this month. So we're now going to look at this huge jump in energy prices added to essential food items going up, and many of us just simply won't be able to cope.
All right, thanks a lot. Amina Press TV's Amina Taylor joining us from the British capital, London. We're now going to cross over now to Mr. John Ross. Mr. Ross, let's pick up where Amina just left off, addressing the issue of the rising inflation. We've been seeing the inflation costs go up. The war in Ukraine, for one, has been one of the pivotal moments where the British government tends to put everything on the shoulders of the outcome of what's taking place in Ukraine. Talk to us about that, and also about what's next. What's the way forward in terms of either bringing down the inflation or trying to match the protesters' demands and strikers' demands to get their pay to match the inflation that's going up? All right. There seems to be a little mix-up with my colleagues here. We're going to bring in now former economic advisor to the London Mayor Ken Livingstone, Mr. John Ross. Mr. Ross, are you with us?
Yes, I am, yes.
I'm going to repeat the question, Mr. Ross, which was for you. Let's talk about the issue of the rising food prices, the inflation that Britons are enduring, that they've been enduring maybe over the past year or so. What led to this position? What contributed to the economic doldrums that we're seeing right now that the UK is in?
Well, what is the cause of this is the economic policies pursued in the United States.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there's somebody coming over me on the channel here. I can't concentrate if somebody's talking to me here.
All right, I'm going to allow my colleagues to figure that out. We've also got Mr. Lembit Opik, former member of British Parliament, also joining us from the British capital, London. Mr. Opik, are you with us? We do not have Mr. Opik either. Mr. Ross, I hope the issue with the feedback.
Yeah, I can. There's nobody coming over now. I can hear you fine.
All right. Okay. So pick up where you left off, sir.
Yeah, well, the causes of this big, huge inflationary wave are the economic policies in the United States. They claim that it's due to the Ukraine war, but it's very easy to show that the inflation is due to the Ukraine war and therefore Russia. But it's very easy to show that this is not true. If we go back to May 2020, the inflation in the US was 0.1%. By January 2022, that is before the war broke out, it was 7.5%. So it had already raised by 7.4%. So more than 80% of the inflation occurred before the war broke out. It's due to the fact the US launched a completely economically irresponsible stimulus package focused totally on consumption. It increased its money supply by 26% in a single year. It increased government borrowing by 26% in 6 months, 26% of GDP in 6 months, and it sent a huge inflationary shockwave throughout the entire world economy, and everybody's paying the price. It's then true that the Ukraine war made the situation a bit worse. Maybe 1/5 or something of the inflation was due to the Ukraine war, but above all, it's the policies which are in the United States which are being pursued. That's what's caused this financial crisis. It doesn't want to admit it because it would mean that it would admit that the US had destabilized the whole world economy.
So it seems we've had a change of plans here. We've got Ryan Gosling, who's also joining us now from London. Mr. Gosling, I'm going to cross it over to you now. Let's talk about the situation that the British economy is in right now. A lot of this is attributed to the war in Ukraine. What can you tell us about that issue? And also, we have to address the issue of the strikes, the continuous strikes that are taking place. It seems that the government of Rishi Sunak does not have an answer to that at this point.
Remember that nobody is elected.
All right, I'm going to apologize to our guests and our viewers for some technical difficulties that we were experiencing this segment of the program. It's goodbye to our guests, John Ross and Mr. Ryan Gosling, joining us from London. That's it with this edition of the News Review. We're going to continue with the news in just a minute. Stick around, everybody.